Today on the workbench, I've got a new project here. This is a ScaleTrains ES44AH. And of course you can see that it's one of the CSX heritage units. But what I've got for this is I've got one of the NixTrainz Soundtraxx conversion kits. So this comes with a speaker, comes with two capacitors, the Power Bridge 3, and it also comes with a Decoder Buddy. It's a V5. So we're going to install all of this into this. So let's go ahead and get started. Flip this over. I'm trying to be careful. Go ahead and pull the couplers off. Yep. I will be changing those out to KD couplers. And I've had this for a while, never done anything with it. It's the first time I'm taking it out of the box. I don't remember if I bought it DCC ready or yeah, with sound or without. So we're going to find out here in a second whether I got this with a decoder in it. Oh, okay. So I got the DC version, which is good. That way it'll save us from having a decoder laying around, an ESU decoder. But I think I failed to mention, it comes with a speaker. This is a scale sound system speaker. So we'll be able to install that. But first off, we'll pull this tape off. Now if you wanted to do this a different way, you could get this with the ESU decoder, because they are set up for ESU decoders. But this is mine. I have settled on Soundtraxx for the bulk of my locomotives. I do have a few ESU. I've got some TCS also. So, but yeah, I've got a Soundtraxx. I've got a Blunami decoder for this that I'm going to put in it. But we'll go ahead and I'm just kind of giving it a once over. It's been a while since I've done one of the ScaleTrains. I will end up, I'm not going to desolder all of this. Basically, I'm just going to go through and cut wires. These are the motor wires. I've got track pickup wires. And then we've got rear lights. So we'll cut all of that. And then I've got all of this mess up front here. Start over here with the track pickup. Well, Trying to see where this long wire goes. Okay, I believe that is light. And we'll cut that. There's my other track pickup. I'll at least have them out of the way. All of the reds are positive, and then we've got different functions or different colors: white, yellow, white and yellow. So we can get those figured out with our smart tweezers, what goes where. I'm going to pull this off. I don't even know if this runs. So pull that out. There's our two capacitors, and the capacitors that are supplied will go into the stock mounting location. Going to go ahead and go down the line there and cut everything. Okay, so there's our Soundtraxx or ScaleTrains board. Now, Nick does have a video on his website or YouTube channel to cut these two tabs off. I'm opening up the decoder for the bag here. And I will go ahead and do like he did. I will nip these off, file them down flat, and then we can put our, we'll go ahead and get this apart. We have to split this weight so we can add the speaker. So there's just the two screws. That weight will lift right off. I'm just trying to be careful. I think I'll want to pull this piece of tape up. Hoping I could get it in one piece. All right. I'll go ahead and pull this up. Pull this off. I'll start threading wires back through here. Well, this is kind of a process. But I do need to get to that speaker, or where the speaker goes, let's say that. Okay. Let's see what that does for me. There we go. So you can see, now that I've got that up, we can pull the speaker holder out. Grab a pair of pliers, pull that out, and we'll get our ScaleTrains or Scale Sound System speaker, drop that in. That'll sit right there. But first I need to put some wires on that and route those. Okay, so let's wire this speaker up. We can get that on, or get that wired up. We'll go ahead and tin this. Doesn't take a whole lot. Let's see. I'm going to put that way. That way it's closer to the hole there where that thing goes. So, I've already got a piece of wire here tinned. Okay, so now before I screw this in or put that in permanent, I'm going to turn this over because I need to remove these little nubs. And what I think I'll do, I'm going to pull all of this wiring out. Let's see, what do I got back here? Pull that off. Pull that out. And I'll pull that out. Okay. So I'm going to take this, and I don't want to get metal shavings or anything in the motor or the gears there. So, set them screws over to one side. So I think I've got several ways to take this out. The only one I'm worried about right now is this wire this one right here. Let me see if I can. Okay, we'll push that light out. Push that light out of that. So I'll be able to work around that. I could take this down, put it in the mill that off, but I think that's a little overkill. I could take and file them down. That seems a little too much like work. I'll probably just take them down and put it on my belt sander, knock those off, and then hit it with a file. So, yeah, I think that's what I'll do. And I'm going to pull that rear light section out. The less I have in my way, the better. This one, I believe, this one's glued down. And that one I'll just leave. Okay, I'll be back here in a second and I'll have these little nubs off. Okay, so you can see there where I've knocked the little nubs off. I did put it in my mill. Like I said I wasn't going to, but now we'll just take a little bit of paint, cover those up. And that's no big deal. Okay. So now, these little micro brushes are great. They're great for everything. Clean with them, do a little paint touch up with them, you name it. So, luckily, that does not take very long to dry. But in the meantime, we can take our speaker and try to avoid the wet paint, and we'll feed that up through our hole. And it did what I didn't want it to do. It went underneath. There we go. Okay. We'll put our screws back in. Well, we'll try to put our screws back in, let's say that. Don't tighten everything up yet. We'll get all four of them in before we tighten anything up. Okay. There's that. Now we'll let that sit for a minute. But while that's sitting there drying a little bit, of course I can put, well actually I'll wait on these. I'll get all my wiring shoved up through those holes. So let's go ahead and put the Keep Alive together. Don't need that quite yet. So Nick sends a little piece of tape with the kit to hold the Keep Alive or the capacitors in the slots. So what we'll end up doing, we'll connect the negative to the positive, which I've got it laid out that way, and you can tell this is the negative side or the short leg, and the positive side has no marking, or the long leg. So what I'll do is I'll put these together, and let me just show you here. I like to take a pair of pliers and I'll bend that over 90 degrees, give or take. And then this negative one, I'll do the same thing. And I'll cut them. In fact, let me just go ahead and cut that off. Make sure that I've got it the length that I want it. Yeah, that'll work out nice. So now I'll be able to solder that together. And let me see. If I just leave them sit right there, actually I want to cut that one off just a touch more. Okay. Now okay. So I've got that soldered together where it needs to be. I will take, you can use liquid black tape, or you can use conformal coating. I'll probably use the liquid black tape on this one. So what we'll end up doing now is we'll be able to place our Decoder Buddy in here. And that'll be approximately where it's at, but I'll use double-sided tape on that. But I'm going to get out the circuitry for the capacitors, and let's see, what am I looking for? Okay, so we've got out our little control board for the capacitor. We'll end up, I'm going to move this down this way some. That'll give me room to put this board right here in front of the Decoder Buddy. And to hook into our capacitors, we'll use the black and the brown wires. The black is negative and the brown is positive. So let me just get that out of the way. That'll sit there. So this long one is my positive. And how do I want to do this? Let me go ahead and clean that off. And I'm going to go ahead, clean down in here. I'm going to clean the bottom of these off. And then we'll clean the bottom of that off. And we're going to put double-sided tape. Now I know Nick sends this, he sends this little piece of double-sided tape with that, and I'd love to try and use that, but I have a hard enough time with the tape that I use. Oop. I think I got that started. I got one side of it started anyway, let's say that. We'll give it a shot. Well, I can't believe that. I got that off. Alright. So let's go ahead and we'll set that right there like that. And now boy, if I could do it, I would bend that wire over 90 to the right 90 and fasten it right to that, but I'm not going to do that. But I am going to take and bend that 90 degrees, and then well, I don't have it fully bent there. Okay. bend it over that way. And you'll see this here in a second, what I'm doing. So now I am going to cut this off right in there. That way I can cut my brown wire. For the positive side. Strip that. Now before I get too excited there and start soldering that up, I'm going to bend the negative basically the same way. And then I'll cut it off. So that's that. I'll be able to take this, the black wire or the negative, run it over and down. We'll strip that. Okay. So now, I'm going to get out some my double-sided tape for the bottom there. Okay, so I've got a piece of tape on the bottom. Okay, that is firmly attached. That'll not come out. So now I'm going to take and flux everything and tin it. And then we'll solder our wires up. And we'll put some liquid black tape on everything. Okay. Turn that around to where I won't be in my way, kinda. Okay. Now if I can get this other one turned around. Alright, there's our capacitors hooked up. And now, for the liquid black tape, I hope it's still good. Oh yeah. Get another little micro brush here. A little bit there on the bottom. Okay. Man, that stuff's strong. Anyway, so we've got that on there. That's what that looks like. On this side, we've got our speaker underneath. Turn this back this way. So now, we are ready. We can put our Decoder Buddy in here. Well, there's my one light. I need to put this back in. We'll get that back in, and I'm going to run the wiring for that through that hole. That's perfect. I couldn't have planned that if I wanted to. All right. So now I just got to stick that down right there where the motor mounts are. I'm going to take and put a piece of Kapton tape. That way we won't have to worry about whether or not we're hitting the frame with the wiring. So let's kind of clean that off to where the tape will stick. Actually, clean that whole thing off so I can put my double-sided tape. Well, get out the double side. Oh, I didn't clean off the Decoder Buddy. Okay, there's that. And now for a piece of Kapton tape, there where the motor goes, or the motor wiring, let's say that. Didn't need to be anywhere near that long. Okay. Now, peel that off. And we're right there. That will work out perfect. So this, I might as well wire the speaker up while I'm right here. And then we'll wire up our Keep Alive also. I'll put just a touch of flux on that down there. Okay, there's that. And it doesn't matter, since we've only got one speaker in this. which way this is wired. Okay, there's our speaker wired up. Now, pull the light board off of here. And we'll use our, let's see, the second and third terminals, which I believe are the ground, or the positive is the second one, the ground is the third one, so we'll run that around that way, run it that way, and then cut those off about there. I'll get that all fluxed and tinned. And then so the third one is the ground. And the second one is the positive. Okay. So now we've got our Keep Alive hooked up, we've got our speaker hooked up, or I should say, I guess, Power Bridge hooked up, not Keep Alive. That's TCS. But anyway, we're ready to go ahead and put this back onto the main frame, and then I'll put that light back on. I'll have to run all this wiring back up through. Yeah, so far this is where we're at. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start running the wires back up where they need to be, but I think I'm going to do that off camera. Yeah, it's going to be a little process in and of itself, so I don't think anybody really cares to see that. So I'll be back and we'll have the wiring ran through. Okay, so I got most of this mess straightened out, got everything run back up through. Right now I'm going to hook up the track pickups and the motor mounts. Now I did go ahead and I fluxed those and tin my track pickups. Truth be told, I probably should have cut them a little shorter, but I'm going to leave that a little long. So we're ready to do this. And actually, I'm going to put a little more solder on my gun there. Turn that a little bit. Okay. So we've got that now. That'll be everything run right there. Well, except for this wiring for the lights back here. I'm going to have to extend just about everything, because that is nowhere near long enough. This is the only one that is. This is for the walkway light. So I'll go ahead and hook the motor up. Then we can actually test this thing out and see if I get it hooked up the right way. So I think for now I'm going to leave these long, and I'll put them in there temporarily. And then I'll be able to determine the right direction. Now, like I always say, I think I say this every video, I've got a 50-50 shot. at getting them wires hooked up right. Because you never know. Alright, I'm just going to put on a old decoder here, and then I'll try it out and see if I got it right. Alright, well, my 50-50 shot worked. So now that is some really cheap wire on that. Let's see, how do I want to do this? Take that off. I'm just kind of doing these one at a time, that way I don't have to remember where they go. But yeah, that wire right there. That's something. Just touch that stuff and that coating melts. Let's get that tucked in. Under there. Now we'll do the same. Okay. Yeah, I do not like that motor wire. So we'll just trim a touch off of that before we put any flux on it. Okay, now try to bend that around. And there's our motor wires hooked up. Okay, we're good to go there. Now I just need to hook up the front track pickups. And luckily I won't have to extend either one of those. Run that through. I know there's a hole there. Okay. Now we'll get our other side. A lot of patience here. Oop, I've got a wire pinch there. I'll have to pull that up. Okay. So my red will go over here. And we'll leave it a little slack there. Not much, but a little bit. Same way with this one. So we'll go ahead, get them stripped and fluxed and tinned, and I think I said that in the right order. Okay, so there's our track pickups. Get them tucked back down in that little channel. Make that nice and neat. Okay, now it's break time. Alright, so we're to the point where we can get out our lighting board that goes right here. After testing this, the Keep Alive works, the direction is good, we've got that motor hooked up, track pickups are all hooked up. So now what we've got is we're down to our lighting. So you can see all this right here. It looks like a jumbled mess. But if you just take your time and look at it, so this has ground lights on it, has one on the left and one on the right. So we've got two sets of wires, and all these red wires are positive wires. So we'll combine positive wires and make, you know, a limited number of connections to the board, because I am going to have to extend a lot of these wires. Some of them I won't. This one I'll be able to just cut off. But yeah, red wire positive, red wire positive. So the functions on these, like this black one headed toward the long hood in the back, that is for this black wire is for the sill light. Of course, we've got the two positives back here. Two positives. This white wire is for the rear headlight. Like I say, this pair of wires, reds are positive, blacks are the function wire for the ground lights. Another positive wire. Of course, this yellow up here is for the number boards. Positive wire. This white wire is for the headlight up there on the front. So then we've got down here, we've got a white and a yellow, These are the ditch lights, right and left ditch lights. Of course, we've got another red. So basically, I'm just down to connecting everything up. Now I could put that on there, and that way I can get what size wires I need, and that's probably what I'll do. That'll be the easiest thing to do. It'll hold it. I don't think I am going to show wiring all this to the Decoder Buddy, because it's just plug and play. And I don't think you all want to sit and watch me for the next hour extend wires. Maybe I'll do just one. Let's do this number board, and I have to dig out my wire. So we've got our yellow wire, and I like to use this, hopefully you can read that, 51947. This is the ESU wire. And then we've got white, 51940. This is red. It looks orange, but it's red, 51943. And then of course I've got the black, 51942, that we'll use too. But let's go ahead and I'll strip this off. Now, one thing I could do is instead of extending these two, I think I'll just maybe unsolder that and then put my new wire on. So, of course, you know, it's just the standard plug and play kind of thing here. Yep. Okay. So there's that. Turn this around to where and I've got several things here in my way. Trying to there we go. Okay, there's that one. I'll do the red one here in a second. But that'll at least save me a joint. Then we can cut that off. Tin that. Okay. Now, I think what I'll do, I'm going to wait before I hook that up, because I'll take some heat shrink tubing and run that through. I may have to use a couple different pieces. Actually, I can go ahead and hook this up. So, put that down on there. I want just a touch. I'm going to run this to A3. And I'll clean that off. Gotta prime my alcohol dispenser again. Come on. There it is. Okay, there's that one. And I'm looking at this thinking, yeah, that'll be fine. We'll just hook this one to A3. And I'll write that down so I'll know what that is. Aux 3. That should be my number boards. Okay, there's that. Now, I'm going to go ahead, take that off. Got a little bit of corrosion right in there on that. Like I say, this thing is new, so it came from the factory with that on there. I don't think it'll hurt anything. But anyway, get out a piece of red wire. And we'll go through the same process. This one will have to be a little longer because it will go to one of the sides. Okay. A little flux on there that I wanted to clean off. Now I just got to get myself behind this so the wire will be facing down. Okay. There's that. And then I'm going to make this one just a touch long. But let's see, I'll keep all my positives in one piece of heat shrink and all my function wires in another. So we'll go ahead and put that on there. And so this is going to be the process for a while now. So I think what I'll do is I'll turn you off, go through different little stages here. I'll bring you back, show you what I've done, and that'll shorten this video up quite a bit. Okay, so where we're at now, I've got all of the positives basically hooked up except for the one for the rear. Got it extended. Got the rear headlight extended. We'll get that hooked up here in a second. I need to run it under this little piece of, I don't know what I'll call it a wire management thing. I think that's the technical term for that, wire management thing. So we'll go ahead, try to put that back on there, get my big old fingers out of the way. So that'll take care of that. I'll end up running that through there. Let me go ahead, this corner over here is the rear light. So let's just go ahead and do that now. I have been writing some of these down. I've got the sill lights hooked up. I hooked them up to A1 and A2. We'll go ahead and get this headlight hooked up and the ground for all the stuff in the back. But I need to there's that, and I'll put this ground on that side. Oh, help if I would tin that first. Get that. There's our rear headlight hooked up. That'll run down there. Now we can do the same with this positive wire. And then I'll just have the two ditch lights up front and the headlight to hook up. And we'll be done. Or at least ready to test it, let's say that. Maybe not done, but ready to test. Okay. Once we get our decoder on there, all that'll be covered up. I'll end up putting some Kapton tape over everything to make it look neater. At least we do have some wire management going on there. But that's where we're at right now. There's the long hood all hooked up. And yeah, so I'll be back here in a second. Okay, so I've got it all hooked up. Oh, I need to write down my A5 and 7, or aux 5 and aux 7. Those are my ditch lights. Do that now while I'm thinking about it. So I've got everything written down. I don't have any tape on this yet. I really don't. It may not need it, but probably just put a piece on there just to hold everything down. But I am going to test this thing out. I got to get the decoder out and put on here. But yeah, other than that, we are done. And I got lucky. I didn't have to extend the wires for the ditch lights. They were just, I didn't even have to cut them. They were just long enough, and they worked out great. So I'll be back here in a minute. Okay, so I was testing this thing out, and I'd screwed up. I used A7, and I don't know, it seems like I do that every time that I do something here. So I'm going to pull this one wire off of the ditch lights and move it around to A4, and that'll make everything better. But yeah, for some reason, a lot of the time when I do it, so I did end up having to extend that wire. Which is no big deal, just a pain, because you start troubleshooting things. And think, what in the world? But now, of course, that's the final product there. Go ahead and snap this back on. And I'll put it up on the track and I'll be back. Alright, we've got this project finished and we've got it up here on the test track. And we're going to go through these lighting functions before we turn the sound on. So we've got our headlight. And then we've got our ground lights and the sill lights. And then you can see the number boards up there light up and turn off. And then we've got our ditch lights. And of course our ditch lights are set to the grade crossing function. Now I may have that just a little fast, but that's no big deal. So there's all of our lighting functions. Of course, we've got the rear headlight on it too. But let's go ahead and start this thing up. So there you can hear the startup. Got the bell. Of course, we've got our horn. And then let's go ahead and start it forward. You can see the slow speed here, or low speed. This is speed step 1. crank it up a little bit there. That's speed step 2. We'll let it run by. And take a look at that. The whole locomotive there. We'll get it to the back. Step it up to speed step 3. Okay, we'll change our direction, then you can see our rear headlight come on. We'll start it back the other way. This is a really nice paint scheme on this locomotive. I'll hop it back up to speed step 3. And there we are again. So yeah, this was a fairly involved project, but it worked out really well. We'll change that so the headlight comes back on. But yeah, this NixTrainz Soundtraxx conversion kit really worked out well in this. And I've got a couple more to do that I'll probably be using this same kit. And it makes it easier. It's all in one package. Normally I just buy all these components separately, but anyway, that's enough of that. So yeah, this was a really good project, and thanks for watching.